Now that shot that dollies or pans down gives us a view of the neighborhood, and it's done with a slow-paced quality, and it picks up on a character, actually a mailman, first and last time we will see him, walking along on his route, and the camera will pan to the left, and it will be done very slowly so that we get that leisurely feeling that this film is going to allow us to take our time in watching it. We're not going to be rushed. We're not going to have to, we're not going to be exposed to what, well, we're all familiar with today, the fast-paced editing of so many of the action films. And as that camera has panned to the left, it will pick up a character who's coming from the extreme side of the screen. He'll be on a wagon with his horse, and he'll be moving along so that the camera will follow him until he comes to the home of Atticus Finch. Now this scene depicts, as I said, the pace, and it also depicts the neighborhood's visual appearance. We will get an idea of when this film is supposedly taking place, which is during the Great Depression. The film is narrated, as I said, by Scout, and she tells us that it's 1932. This is a day that's kind of hot in the summer. It's economically bad times, even though, as she says, they've just been told that the only thing they have to fear is fear itself by President Roosevelt. In this early scene, we will see how Gregory Peck, who plays the part of Atticus Finch, and how Mary Badham, who plays the part of Scout, beautifully establish the quality of relationship that they are able to communicate to us just by the slightest gestures of action. The man who was on that wagon is Walter Cunningham, and he's come to pay Atticus Finch hickory nuts because he doesn't have any money, and Walter is trying to pay off an entailment, as he calls it, to Atticus, who's an attorney. And Atticus thanks him for the collards that Mr. Cunningham brought the other week, and takes the hickory nuts, and then has a conversation with Scout. What I'd like to suggest to you is notice how Scout will put her hands and head on the shoulder of Atticus, her father. It's done with such nonchalance, such easiness, that we get a feeling that she's free to be with her father. There's a sense of comfort. And notice too how he kind of like leans over toward her. Now it's not a significant lean, but it's just enough to suggest a convergence of the two. She on his shoulder, chin resting on her shoulder, he leaning slightly toward her. And then they go into a conversation, and she asks him about Mr. Cunningham, and she's very free in her questions, and he's very direct in his answers. What I mean by direct is that he does not avoid her question, he does not dismiss it, and he stops whatever he's doing to address her question. Like he may be reading the newspaper, but all of a sudden when she asks the question, are the Cunninghams poor? Yes, they are. Are we poor? Yes, we are. Are we as poor as the Cunninghams? No. not quite as poor as the Cunninghams. The crash hit them harder. They're farmers. But in each of these replies, we can see that this man addresses his daughter not as a little kid who is to be answered and then move on. No, the answer is a full reply. It is a complete response to the kid. And that's what you'll see throughout the motion picture. It's an amazingly instructive model for us as to how to address those who ask us a question, those who are especially in a position where they perceive us as authorities, such as a child looking at her dad.